Hi, I want to share something very interesting that I learned today. Well, I've been learning a lot all of these past weeks and months, but today I have this message that is kind of different compared with so many I have, and the Lord has been revealing to me. Um, I must say that I admit that to read the book of the Psalms is kind of intimidating because of its length, but I got bold enough to get into, and so far I've been enjoying it and I've been learning so much. I want to share something that I find quite interesting because, as we already know, the book of Psalms is basically songs that David has sung for the Lord, and but it's more than that. It's not just singing songs to God. It's about him expressing his emotions, expressing how he feels at the moment. And in this particular chapter, the Lord showed me something that I cannot keep it to myself, but I need to share with everybody. I want to ask all of you, how many times have you heard his story, David's story? I am not talking about the way how he go to become a king from Israel and Judah, but what he has to endure to make that happen. We already know that he was appointed by God, and God used Samuel to to anoint him. If you want to know more in detail David's story, I suggest you to read the book of First Samuel. I meant to say First Samuel. You will find the complete story of David, but you're gonna find more about him in the book of Second Samuel. I believe also in First and Second Chronicles. And there's other books also that speak about him, but there's more condensation in First Samuel about his life. Anyway, what I'm trying to share here is that David, he has to encounter the hatred that at some point King Saul has for him, and he want to kill him. We already know that Saul was influenced by a bad spirit, and his envy that he has for David led him wanting to kill David. He has no reason to kill David. He just because. That's it. But what we are ignoring about all of this is the fact that David has to face not only a threat, because the king is one of the highest threat that he ever experienced, but also he has to experience more knowing that God anointed Saul as king for Israel, right? What's interesting that even though in his life he has faced so many threats, because I'm not talking about only King Saul hunting him down, but also his own son Absalom was hunting him down, and that's part of God prophecy against David. Again, go back to the book of Samuel to learn more about this story. What I'm trying to say, the point I'm trying to make across of this is the emotions that David has to face into these situations, and in many more, because he not only have enmity with his own son and Saul, but more people. And the truth of the fact is that David found himself in a depressive state. His mood was so low that he couldn't comprehend the reason that he has to be like that. And he expressed his emotions to God. he has to face the real enemy, that it wasn't Saul, it wasn't his son, it wasn't all the neighbors, uh, ministers, prime minister, or king from other nations. The main threat and main enemy that he had was his own self. He has to face that enemy that walk along with him day and night. And he has to face it, you know where? In the wilderness. Right there in the hiding place where he went to hide from the actual enemy, which was either Saul or his son, he has to face the greatest enemy. And he has to see himself, the real he, who he was. And he has to come to God humbly to admit, to accept where he was. He was at his lowest point. And these experiences taught him that he has no friends. The people that he thought that were his friends, they were never. And he found himself by himself. Not that he was feeling pity for himself, but he understood that he cannot count in any other man. But through his reflection, he understood that the only person he can count is in God. God was the person who helped him to get out of so many troubles that even he put himself. And he has to admit also the state of mind that he felt at those crucial times. He experienced anxiety, he experienced depression, and you name all the emotions that he experienced through all these trials. Does this sound familiar to you nowadays? David's story is reflected in so many people nowadays that are facing this type of emotions. But there's a key argument in this story, in this psalm, where David is hiding on the peak of a mountain from King Saul. But he understood and learned that remaining in that state will take him nowhere. And he decided not only to pray to God about the situation of his state of mind and how he felt, but he chose and decided to be thankful to God because he reflected of all the situations God helped him. All the problems that he put himself also, God helped him. Because of that fact, regardless how he felt, he was grateful to God. He has the heart to admit and say to God how thankful he was to him. And because of that fact, he decided to sing to the Lord songs of gratitude, songs of praise, songs of adoration. Funny part is that David is known as a man that he loves to play some instrument. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the background of his story, he played the cymbal, I believe. And somehow he made it happen that he played instrument and he doesn't care. Somehow he even sings songs to the Lord. And I'm not talking about singing in a neutral volume. He will yell out just because he wants God to hear him, to hear that he's praising his name, to hear that he's exalting his name. What this is teaching us, that although you may be experiencing anxiety, experiencing any type of abandonment, any type of, you can mention whatever emotion you're feeling at the moment, they're valid, and God validate your emotions. Yet You have to come to the realization that you cannot remain lingering in that emotion for so long. And you have to come to the Lord to get you out of that emotion. Because you right now, what you're facing is the real you. And you have to allow God to transform you to the real person He wants you to be. It is really imperative that all those emotions, all those feelings that you express them, do it through this music, do it through the song, do it recognizing God as the author of your life, recognizing that He has been in your life even though you did not realize it before, even though you didn't see it before. But I want to share this message with you for you to understand that God is in everything. He's everywhere. He's listening. He's ready to hear you. But also, He's talking to you. He's constantly talking. Have you had the chance to slow down, calm down, sit down, stay still to listen to Him? My advice to you today is just sit, stay still, listen to the Lord, and more importantly, exalt His name with new songs. Praise Him.